Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about one disc, I may do more because I just love this stuff, of orchestral suites from Janáček's operas. They are wonderful. He didn't make any of them, of course. They were all done, cobbled together by other people, but it doesn't make any difference because the music is so fantastic. And my all-time favorite disc of Janáček opera suites is this one, which is still on Denon, as you can see. I think it's still around, though. It was Denon Supraphon. I saw it on regular Supraphon. It's with the Czech Philharmonic and František Gilak, who was the big Brno Janáček guy. And it's got 3 suites, which he actually put together very sensitively, from the Cunning little Vixen, from Fate, the opera Fate, his second opera, I think it was, or third opera, but no one pays any attention to it, and from the House of the Dead. Now, these suites have been published, and they are extraordinarily cleverly put together. You know, the original suite to the Cunning little Vixen that Václav Talich did was simply the entire first act, with a couple of small cuts here and there. But this suite actually contains music from the entire opera. And, you know, the Cunning little Vixen is just one of the most luminous, pulsating, vibrant scores. It's unbelievable. And the playing here is amazing. It's the Czech Phil. It's wonderfully recorded in the early days of Denon Digital. And then we've got From the House of the Dead, which is Janáček's last opera. That already has a big, juicy overture that was originally supposed to be a violin concerto, and Janáček just sort of stuffed it into the opera and diddled it a little bit. So it's got a big solo violin, and you've got a part for chains because it takes place in a Siberian prison camp. So you hear the violin wailing and the chains rattling, and it's incredibly catchy. You'll never forget the tune. Yam ba 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 da da dum ba ya da 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 dum. You'll never forget that tune. And there's a lot of sort of incidental music built into the opera. There's like a ballet and a theatrical production, and so Janáček wrote music for all of it, and it works perfectly out of context of the entire opera. It's a glorious, glorious suite of music. But best of all, I think, is Fate. Now, Fate is one of those operas, it's like in 3 acts, but it only lasts a little more than an hour. I mean, it's Janáček. It's very concise. The plot is just impossibly silly, unbelievably silly. You know, it's about a composer, and he has a girlfriend who their relationship didn't work out because the girl's mother, who's evil, hated him, just hated him. And they meet again at a spa, and they rekindle their romance, and they get married. And, well, what is the fate part? They have a baby. Well, the fate part is that, of course, mom lives with them. And she's just horrid. She's always screaming and shrieking and carrying on. And because she got married to the composer against her will, she's gone completely insane. And she's sort of like the mad woman in the attic. She lives upstairs and does nothing but shriek and yell, and it's very ugly and unpleasant. And in order to have her way, she's so filled with bile and venom that she actually, well, it's sort of hard to describe what happens. What happens is the composer's wife goes up to deal with her mother, and she throws the 2 of them down the stairs, and they both die. Fate. Get it? That's Fate. So he's writing an opera about his life, and his son grows up to become a composer, and the last bit takes place in a conservatory, and he's playing through his opera, which is about the death of his wife, and lightning strikes, and, the lights go out, and Fate. Get it? Well, I mean, this farrago of nonsense is really set to the most wonderful music. Absolutely amazing music, and a lot of it happens in this initial scene at this spa, which is just full of wonderful waltz-like music, and it's tremendous. And then there's the music of incredible hostility. Let me tell you something: those Eastern European women, they are tough. They are really, really tough. I mean, evil mothers-in-laws in Janáček. I mean, you have the Kostelnička. She's not a mother-in-law, but she's a foster mother, which is just as bad. She's a murderess. I mean, she's totally stiff and strict and miserable. So there's her. And then there's the Cabanija, whatever you want to call her, in Copacabana, who is totally evil and loathsome and arranges for Copacabana to commit suicide so that she can, stand triumphantly on her corpse and thank everybody for their help. And, this horror show. And then you've got this one. And it's really special. And I got to tell you, I'm from Eastern Europe. I mean, that's my family. We're a bunch of, Latvia, Lithuania, and that part of the universe, and Russian peasants. I was built to push a yak through the permafrost. I mean, that was going to be my destiny. And we had some of those in our family. We really did. I mean, my great grandmother, my grandfather is on my mother's side, Grandma Goldberg. She was something. She was, been in this country for 50 years, never spoke a word of English. She would not lower herself to learn English. She understood it. She could have if she wanted to, but, it was our job to try and, communicate with her. And no one knew what language she spoke. It was some dialect of Yiddish. Her kids understood her, but we didn't understand her at all. And she was absolutely one of those, she had the hair in the bun and the black army boots that she always wore. And she had like the wart with the hair coming out of it. And, we had to go and kiss her. And it was like, ooh, terrifying. So that's what Fate is about. It's about the horror of Eastern European mothers-in-laws. And that is a fate worse than death, quite often. The music is just glorious. Absolutely fabulous. You're not going to want to know what's happening in the opera. You just want to listen to it. So František Jílek with the Czech Philharmonic. I mean, this is such a wonderful collection. And there are other versions of these too. We'll talk about them. It's a 3-disc set on Naxos. There have been a couple others on Supraphon. There's one on Reference Recordings that has Jose Cerebrier's Suite from the Macropolis case. There's now a lot of Janáček opera excerpt stuff running around because the operas themselves are so popular. So it's all worth considering. And I've done a video on the Naxos series, so you may want to go take a look at that too, with some samples and things. It's all just glorious, absolutely glorious. But this is the best of them. It really is. It's just marvelous. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.